Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 long weeks, we're back. Thank you. I am very excited to go over this UFC card. The UFC is back after 6 long weeks away, presenting UFC 324 Gaethje versus Pimblett, taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada on Saturday, January 24th, 2026, and I'm here to go through the entire card, break it down, and give my predictions of every single fight, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main card. Like I said, UFC's been gone a long time. They are debuting on Paramount and are presenting this card as their big starting show. It doesn't really feel like a big show. It feels like kind of just a more traditional pay-per-view. And that is because, obviously a title fight fell out. But still, I'm excited to go through this card. It's just good to be back, that was 6 weeks was very long, man. And plus, I didn't even cover the last few cards of the year. So it's good to be back, man. It's good to be back. Let's get right into this, bro. Let's just dive right in. Starting with the early prelims fight of Ty Miller versus Adam Fugitt. What a great start to it. I feel like they started this card specifically with this fight and a minus 450 favorite because they wanted a really good performance to kick off this time on Paramount Plus. So they chose this fight here, Ty Miller versus Adam Fugitt. I'm going to go with Ty Miller to win this fight. I think Fugitt, he has only lost to pretty good opponents, and he could sneak in a split decision here, but I'm not going to overthink this one. I think Ty is just lankier, and I think Fugitt is just old, and his chin is cracked, and I think, Ty Miller's on a good projection from his time on the Contender Series, so I think going forward, he's going to do really well here in this fight. So I'm going to pick Ty Miller to win this fight. Up next, it would have been Ricky Turcios versus Cameron Smotherman. I had notes on this one. I would have picked Cameron Smotherman to win, but he decided to faceplant on the stage at the weigh-in, so that fight is no longer happening, unfortunately. But moving on, we have got Josh Hokit versus Denzel Freeman. This is an interesting one. For sure. I was kind of going back and forth on it a little bit, just how much I rate that first Denzel Freeman performance, his debut performance. And I think looking back on it now, I'm going to go with Josh Hokit to win this fight. I think Freeman didn't look out. I was just looking at some of the style-ups things that he did in that fight, and I think he did a lot of picking up at his opponents. He wasn't really that impressive overall. And I just, I'm feeling Hokit a little bit more, man. I'm feeling that Hokit will probably stay more active. He'll push a quick pace and will probably get a first-round finish with his superior wrestling. I do think Freeman does have the potential to do well in the division itself, but I'm going to lean towards Josh Hokit to get the job done here. Get a quick first-round finish. Again, keep the momentum of this card going. So I'm going to go with Josh Hokit to win this fight. I don't feel it's not a confident pick, but that's who I'm going to stick with here. Up next is Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez. I love this fight. I'm such a sucker for like the nostalgia matchups, running them way past both guys' prime. A fight straight out of 2018. This is Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez. Near even apparent odds apparently. That makes my decision even harder. This is another one I've been debating a lot. Just looking at those guys, it's just about fucking Alexander Hernandez, dude. I keep picking against him, and he keeps proving me wrong. So it's really gonna come down to, especially Johnson coming off the performance that he had last time, is if the speed is gonna be enough. Surely someone can crack this guy, Alexander Hernandez, right? I think Johnson is still decent. He's speedy and has some powerful hands. He still has also some really good boxing combinations. We saw that in his last fight. Some good body shots leading to overhands, crosses into lead hands. I'm just wondering how much of a hard time he will have getting exchanges out of Hernandez, and how Hernandez will still continue. I don't know. I just don't know how much adaptation Hernandez will do, how much he's going to change up his game going forward here. The amount of times he moves around the octagon, how he lowered his output to maintain a better pace. And I'm just debating if Michael Johnson is the kind of guy that will be able to catch him in one of these momentums and take advantage of this kind of predictable fighting style, or if this momentum, this strategy is going to continue to work for Alexander Hernandez. So it's back and forth, really, man. You know what? No, I'm not going to fall for Hernandez, dude. I'm going to go with Michael Johnson to catch and put an end to this fluke streak of Alexander Hernandez, dude. I'm going to go with Michael Johnson to win this fight. I think he will catch him with his superior boxing, which he does have, and he's going to put an end to Alexander Hernandez here. Yeah, I think it's going to be by KO. I think it'll be by KO. I think this fight ends in KO regardless, but give me Michael Johnson to win this fight, bro. Give it to me. It's not... Dude, fool me once... No. Michael Johnson's winning. Michael Johnson's winning. Up next, we have Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson. Tell you right now, Perez has already failed to make weight, so he's going to be, to having 25% of his purse taken from him. But in terms of the fight, I'm going to go with Charles Johnson to win this. I think Perez blitzes really well, and he does have some very powerful leg kicks as well. So I think he's going to have some early success on the feet. He has some big power in his hands and some good boxing. He'll mix in the wrestling too pretty well. But I think Johnson will be able to defend the single leg takedowns and the takedowns. He could threaten guillotines, which, is always a factor against Alex Perez. We saw that in his last fight. Whenever you can just shoot guillotines or threaten guillotines whenever he goes in to shoot. So I think he'll take a really good advantage of that. I think, Perez is just very predictable with his entries into takedown attempts. So I think Johnson would be able to capitalize on that. And I'm going to go with Johnson to win by submission. And we'll see a similar pattern that we've seen throughout Alex Perez's career. And I think someone like Charles Johnson, who has moments of brilliance throughout his past few fights, against some very strong opponents, I think that's going to be the deciding factor against someone like Alex Perez. I just don't, maybe because he's not pure up and coming, Charles Johnson won't win this fight, but I'm going to go with Charles Johnson to win this fight. I think he'll get it done by submission. Up next, we have Nikita Krylov versus Modestas Bukauskas. Man, alright, listen, Krylov, it's been real. You've been fantastic, one of the most exciting light heavyweights of the division the last few years. It's over. I'm sorry, dude. It's over. It's over for you, man. Your chin, I can't put faith in your durability anymore. Especially against some of the guys. I know you fought good opponents. I know you have, dude. But this Modestas Bukauskas, he's not someone to fuck around with, man. He's a very clean fighter. He's very quick. He has a very awkward style. He's going to force you to stand and strike and will probably catch you with a big strike and knock you out. Because your chin is very weak, man. Your chin is very weak. So I think, I know he's going to come out. I know Krylov's going to come out aggressive and looking to grapple, but I think Bukauskas is just going to force the stand-up, man. He's going to just have his way with you, dude. He's just going to control the entire fight. I don't see how you can have a chance against someone like him there, so I'm going to go with Modestas Bukauskas to win this fight as well. Yeah, I think that's fair. Up next, Atiba Gautier versus Andre Pulyaev. Man, Atiba Gautier is having such a boxer's come up, you know what I mean, dude? I'm waiting for the day the UFC announces an Atiba Gautier opponent, and it's someone I actually recognize and don't have to do research on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just waiting for them to announce a name that's like, oh yeah, okay, no, I can see the step up in competition that you were going for here. Because up to this point, Atiba Gautier, here's what I think is going to happen with Atiba Gautier's career. He's going to fight all these fucking guys that you don't know anything of. He's going to join the rankings and still fight an unranked opponent. And then while he's in the bottom, he's in the top 15, he'll fight someone in the top 5, beat him, and then get a title shot. And it's like, why are we having such unnatural progressions up to the titles? What is the point of these fucking rankings, dude? That being all said, I'm gonna go with Atiba Gautier to win this fight. Pulyaev is just not the guy to get the job done. He's a lanky kickboxer, but we saw in his fight with Christian Leroy Duncan, which I had to go back and watch again. He gets walked down, and I think when he enters into the octagon here, he's gonna be very defensive. He might get a clinch against Atiba Gautier, but then will shell up at the slightest bit of danger. He's gonna feel the power behind Atiba Gautier's punches, shell up quickly, and then just get absolutely nuked by Gautier's striking, dude. I could totally see, him being, shelled up, covering his face, and then Gautier with a fucking mean uppercut completely knocks him out cold. So I'm going to go with Atiba Gautier to win this fight. I'm waiting for that step up in competition, man. And this is a step up compared to Tristan Vines, I guess, but still, dude, Pulyaev does have some wins in the UFC. And that, again, the fact that it is a step up in competition just shows you how slowly they're taking this guy's progression and how almost protected he feels, you know what I mean? While at the same time not even creating that much of a buzz outside of the MMA circles, dude. So Yeah, I do think Gautier will win this, but still, I want to see more progression of his opponents better from him, you know? So, Gautier to win. Up next, I think this is the main event of the prelims. It is Umar Nurmagomedov versus Deiveson Figueiredo. This is exciting. This one, I am very excited for this one, dude. This is going to be a very good performance from, I mean, probably just one of these guys, but I'm excited to see how this fight plays out regardless. I'm going to go with Umar Nurmagomedov to win this. You know, Figgy, we know this. He has big power. He has very good jiu-jitsu. But I think, again, he's at a reach and frame disadvantage. I think Umar's going to threaten a lot of oblique kicks, side kicks, head kicks. Keep all that stuff up. That's going to keep Figgy's hands up until, again, he shoots a takedown, goes to the back. He's not... Figueiredo, as good as he is on the jiu-jitsu, he doesn't really have a way to threaten, like, any kind of submission while he's on the back. I could see him maybe just trying to wrestle offensively, just trying to get the takedown first, and then just try to stay on top from there. But again, Umar is just so good at getting to his opponent's back that it's tough for someone like Figueiredo, who's going to be undersized again, and is also 38 years old, to really kind of keep up with him on the ground. Figueiredo could also go for the legs too. Umar likes to leave his legs exposed when he's wrestling, so maybe he can get in like a leg lock, a heel hook, or something like that. But aside from that, though, I don't really see what else he could do. I think he's going to get out-scrambled pretty definitively here, and will maybe get smudged even. That's what I'm saying. I think this is going to be a performance of the night from Umar Nurmagomedov. Some other ways I think Figgy could kind of catch him with stuff is like just a random straight punch down the middle when they're exchanging. I think that's something Figueiredo always just randomly has in his arsenal. And then, or also as Umar enters in for a takedown, throw a knee, which is something he's been pretty good at, and something Umar's susceptible to. But, again, 38 years old, he's coming in overweight as well, so he's going to get fined 25% of his purse. Obviously not a good weight cut for him. I just don't see a way that Figueiredo could definitively get a win over Umar. I think we're going to get a very good Umar Nurmagomedov performance out of this fight specifically, so I'm looking forward to that. Up next, Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva. Oh my god. I'm going to go with Gene Silva, but I definitely want to be wrong about this. Arnold Allen is the kind of guy, who when he was on the come up, right? He was entering into one of the best divisions in UFC history, right? And he was able to, I saw this guy, get the TKO win over Dan Hooker, get an unfortunate injury TKO, sure, but still a win over Calvin Kattar. So when he fought Max Holloway and he lost, it wasn't really seen as that bad. It was another step in the it was another accomplishment in Max Holloway's career kind of thing. So now that we're in 2026 and this division is without Holloway and without Ilia Topuria, wide open for the taking, Arnold Allen needs to get a win here. It doesn't help that he also lost to Evloev, even though it was close. But then he did beat Giga Chikadze, but even then that win isn't aging that well. So this is the time for Arnold Allen to really prove himself as one of the best featherweights in the division. And I'm scared for that because Gene Silva is a very good UFC fighter, and I think people are kind of forgetting that. Obviously not in the betting odds wise, but when you really look at everything Gene Silva does, I think people kind of rely too much, lean too heavily on the Diego Lopez loss, kind of forgetting the pace that Gene Silva was setting and how good he was looking up until the spinning back elbow. I think Silva will be very sharp on his feet. He's going to land some big counters. He's going to do well in the grappling. And, Allen is durable and will maybe mix in takedowns, but I think Silva will be throwing such nasty body kicks and check hooks that it's going to be almost too much for Allen to bear. Maybe Allen will, he does have some abilities on the feet. He'll drop his left hand to the body and then straight hands down the middle. Those will work really well against opponents, especially ones that are opposite stance of him. But Silva just loves to brawl, man, and I think that's a problem with and that's not a problem for Allen, but that's just such a characteristic of featherweights in this point. Is you have to be a brawler to have success in the featherweight division. However, though, maybe if he plants his feet too strongly, I think maybe Allen can then look for a takedown himself, which, like I said, I think that might be part of his game to just kind of throw in some takedown attempts and kind of throw him off his game there. But again, Silva is so good at the grappling, I worry about that. He's very good at the countering. He's very explosive on the ground and on the feet. And then, when he's up close in your face and you guys are striking, he can throw some devastating elbows close up. So based off of all those things, I think Silva will just have the bigger moments, which will get him the decision win. I am cheering for Arnold Allen, though. I want to see this guy succeed, Like I said, I think it's prime opportunity to. I don't think Silva needs a win as much as I think Arnold Allen does. Because it does feel like, I know Allen is ranked above Silva in the rankings, but it feels like Allen is below him, and he has a lot more to prove going into this fight. So I do hope that Arnold Allen is able to get this done. But I do think Gene Silva's going to be able to take this one home. Up next, Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. I have a lot of stock in Natalia Silva, so I will be pretty pissed if she ends up losing this. I think, Rose, she can land good kicks, she can mix in takedowns, and she does cut off the cage better than Alexa Grasso does, so... And the fact she's more powerful, I just think Silva's just more of a kicker. She'll move pretty well. She's quicker. She's more dynamic. She just throws some big side kicks to keep the distance between those two guys. Some chop leg kicks, follow up with punches. And she can also defend takedowns really well. She's just such an amazing all-around fighter, especially in the kicking game, that I don't really see, someone like Rose Namajunas, who I do think will do well. It could be like a 29-28 decision, but I do think I'm going to lean towards Natalia Silva to win this fight. Not that much to say about this fight. It might get boring at some points. I think Natalia Silva will just fight so defensively, and Rose Namajunas will really be trying to plan out the best strikes possible. That it could, the pace could slow down for a little bit, but still, though, I think Natalia Silva is going to come away with the win here. I am also hoping for it. We need a new upper echelon in these, especially in the flyweight division, dude. Like, we need some new people up here. So let's go Natalia Silva. I think she's going to be able to win this. Up next in your feature fight of the night is Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Derek Lewis. I am so mixed on this. I am unbelievably mixed on this. So, when you look at everyone that Derek Lewis wins and loses to, especially in his last 5 fights or so, you see a pattern of guys that are not only, are just not proven guys, Marcos Rodriguez de Lima wasn't really a guy that could get finishes in the UFC. Rodrigo Nascimento also wasn't really a guy that could get finishes. And then, his last fight against Talison Teixeira, he was still just one. That was his second fight of his UFC career, right? So when you look at those guys, and you look at the guys he lost to, guys like Jayton Almeida and Sergey Pavlovich, those are guys that are finishing people, submitting and knocking out people. And, if this fight were to have happened, say in September, I probably would have leaned Derek Lewis to win this fight. Except that this is Waldo Cortes-Acosta coming off of a 2-fight knockout streak against genuinely incredible opponents. I do heavily rate his win against Ante Delija and also Shamil Gaziev, the GOAT. So I'm looking at this and I'm just feeling that Waldo Cortes-Acosta will probably be able to come away with a win here. Just on paper, right? On paper. But then you look at the way Cortes-Acosta fights, right? And how his fights have gone down in his wins, right? It's just... He always just ends up being on the back foot. Every single fight, even when he does come with a knockout win, he ends up on the back foot. He ends up rocked by his opponent's punches. And, that's just not a formula of success against someone like Derek Lewis, right? If you let Derek Lewis connect with a punch, you are probably going to get knocked out. And so it's just going to be a matter of if Waldo Cortes-Acosta can again continue to push the pace and fight the kind of fight that he usually does and find success that way, or if Derek Lewis is going to be able to capitalize on the kind of fight that Salsa Boy likes to have and then win that way as well. I don't know, man. This is Derek Lewis's most proven opponent in a long time, probably since Almeida. And that usually means that they will win. I just don't favor the kind of fights that Salsa Boy has had. It looks more like Lewis can take advantage of the kind of fights where Gaziev and Ante Delija couldn't. That's just kind of the guy he is. And also, dude, he's just kind of a flukester, man. He can fluke a TKO win over you, dude. So I'm gonna go with Cortes-Acosta. That probably means that Derek Lewis will win this fight, but I'm gonna back up WCA Salsa Boy to win this fight. That's my prediction. Of course, I'm gonna be cheering on Derek Lewis as well, but that's who I'm going with here, man. That's a tough one, dude. That's a real tough one. It is a very exciting feature bout, I will say. Making up your co-main event, Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. This is a fight for I know it's Sean O'Malley, but God, this is gonna be such a fun fight to pick apart and analyze in real time, genuinely, because of the kind of stuff we expect from these two guys. I am gonna pick Sean O'Malley to win this. I just think O'Malley is just a bit too slick, too mobile. He has good footwork and movement. Yadong does apply pressure pretty well when he fights, but he also doesn't cut off the cage quite as much as he should. And I think he also struggles with guys that have quick combinations and that transition that into body strikes. He shells up a lot and will leave himself open. We saw that in the Petr Yan fight. Yadong, despite that though, Yadong does have good quick counters. He also does have KO power, legitimate KO power, and a good ability to cover the distance if he can track you down. And he can also stay close with O'Malley and land more than one good shot at a time, dip down into body shots, try to mix in the grappling. But I think O'Malley will be able to defend the takedowns. I just worry about his ability to fight someone who moves the way Sean O'Malley does, And he's very patient, dips in, kind of just is very unorthodox, you know what I mean? It was funny because as I was watching the fights back, I think one fight that I think this will resemble very much so is the fight with Chris Moutinho. I don't think O'Malley will land as many clean strikes as he did against Chris Moutinho, but I could see obviously Moutinho or Son Yadong walking forward like Moutinho did, landing more than just one punch at a time, landing some actually good combinations that seem to really affect O'Malley and back him up a lot, even though that is part of his game, which will probably make him look worse. And I think that's something that's going to happen at the very beginning of the fight. Say round 1, and then Yadong is able to clinch that round just because of how it looks. But then O'Malley, as the fight progresses, as he learns more about Yadong and his patterns, will just be able to kind of move around, throw some good footwork, throw some good body kicks, and be able to kind of piece up Yadong as the fight goes on. I think Yadong will still be able to land some good combinations up close if he can get there. But I'm gonna go with Sean O'Malley to just kind of based on damage, basically outbox him, and then just pick his times to move in and move out properly. I'm going to go with Sean O'Malley to win this fight. I'm very excited for this fight. I'm very excited to see how Sean O'Malley does against someone who actually... This is probably the best opponent they could have... This is probably the worst good opponent they could have given Sean O'Malley post-title challenge. Not even worst best, but as much of a layup as they possibly could without, just giving him some guy outside the top top 5. So I'm excited to see how he does here. This really will be a measuring stick if he can actually make another comeback into the title picture immediately, or if it will take some time going forward. But I am very excited to see how this fight plays out. And then finally, we get to the main event. Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Dude, this is... Oof. A lot of people are really liking Paddy, man. A lot of people are. I don't think I'm one of them, man. I'm going to go with Justin Gaethje to win this fight here. As good as Pimblett is, when you watch his fights and his striking, his stand-up striking, he likes to be patient and draw his opponents in. We have not seen him wrestle too much. He doesn't go in for the takedowns as much. He kind of lets his opponents do that kind of stuff. A lot of his submissions, when you watch the fights with, King Green or Michael Chandler, it's his opponents that go for the takedowns and get them in, but then he counters really well, ends up on top, and then gets the submission win in. King Green shoots the takedown, he gets caught in a clinch, he turns that into a fucking Hell's Gate, basically. I can't remember what the move's called. Chandler just continuously slamming him before Paddy Pimblett reverses, gets on top, and gets the submission in. So with that in mind, I don't think Gaethje will shoot as many takedowns as that, and if Pimblett does end up having to be the one to kind of initiate the grappling sequences, the wrestling sequences, Gaethje has just a good enough defense and can scramble out of the grapples if you're not an elite level guy. So I think it really will be a test of Pimblett's wrestling ability, his ability to get guys down on the feet, on the ground basically, and then kind of work the kind of style he likes to from there. I don't know if Gaethje's going to necessarily be able to do that, man. Unless, Gaethje loves to start out with his kicks, measure that distance. If Pimblett can catch that and turn that into something like a takedown like Fiziev did in their second fight, that would be a really good way to start a sequence and then maybe get a first-round submission in that way. If you really are the kind of grappler people think you are, then that would be the way to do it. That really would be the way to do it. But I don't know if he is that or not. Gaethje also has the advantage in the boxing. That's the big thing. If he isn't able to get that takedown in, if Gaethje is able to defend the takedowns, counter, out-scramble, get back up to your feet, he has the advantage in the boxing. He has that fucking nasty uppercut, dude. He has such a disgusting uppercut and is very good at the combos that I think he'll want to keep this fight in the center. And I think it's gonna be a problem for Paddy Pimblett as the fight goes on. We've seen him very, whenever he likes to kick, he likes to keep his hands down. His hands are very low. I don't think you can do that against a guy like Justin Gaethje. You just can't. That, as well as that being said, I think Gaethje can tank a lot of Pimblett's shot as well. So Pimblett, I could see him just trying to keep it at kicking range. Gaethje himself also has some very good counter kicks. I think he's going to step into the right hand, left hook combinations. That could give some trouble. As the fight progresses, Pimblett may try to bring up the fight to the ground. He gets a bit more desperate because on the feet, it isn't working as well for the first few rounds. So he tries to initiate a takedown, tries to get on the ground. Gaethje just sprawls, ends up on top, punches him while he's down, tries to bring the fight back up to his feet. If he gets a knockdown, I don't think he's going to initiate. He's going to run into a TKO sequence as quickly as some other guys. Because that's how Paddy Pimblett can win his fights too. He can come back just by, turning a knockdown into a grappling exchange that he gets on top of. So I worry about that for Gaethje. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's just been too veteran. He's been veteran enough, but also not washed, and his ability is still very capable that I think he's going to be able to, see that coming and just be like, no, it's going to be that thing where it's like he's just going to tell him to stand up. And then Pimblett's going to be like, oh, fuck, I'm kind of in trouble here. So for those reasons, I think I'm going to go with Justin Gaethje. I haven't seen enough from Pimblett, right? That's the thing with these kind of undefeated guys. There are still some aspects of his game I haven't seen enough yet to confidently say, yes, I think, he's going to be able to do this, this, and this to him. Add in the fact, too, that Pimblett has not fought anyone below the age of 30 since July of 2022. And that continues on here, but I think this is a different kind of, experienced fighter. This isn't someone like Michael Chandler or, King Green, who lost fights after they fought Paddy Pimblett. Or even a Jared Gordon, who found a way to kind of, make a fight close, but then also didn't really have too much success afterwards. Also lost his next fight after Pimblett, so... Or it wasn't a loss, it was a no contest, but still, the point still stands, right? I don't think this is the best opponent Pimblett will have faced up to this point. I don't think his wrestling ability has been proven enough to confidently say that he will be able to keep Gaethje on the ground. Gaethje has shown enough takedown defense that I think he will keep the fight standing. And I think when you're in the boxing range, when you're standing and striking with Gaethje, you can't leave your hands down, which I think Gaethje will then capitalize on. The combinations will be too much. The uppercuts will be too much. He will get rocked, and Gaethje will be smart enough to not just jump in on the takedown just jump down and start the TKO sequence. He'll be smart enough about it to plan it out, pace it out. Paddy will start to get in trouble, become a bit more desperate, maybe find a knockout, and then end up being the interim champion. And then that is how I think Justin Gaethje wins this fight. Overall, I am excited for this card. It's good to be back. It feels good to be back here. Let's go through, for all my bettors out there, which fights I think are locks. Which ones I think are the ones I'm like, yeah, I think this is definitely going to happen. I'm not going to go with an all-in on Ty Miller. I'm not going to go all in on Hokit. I'm not going all in with Johnson. I am going all in with Charles Johnson, though. I think Charles Johnson is a lock. There is still a part of me that thinks Krylov could just find a way to win this somehow, so I'm not going to go all in on Bukauskas. I think, Bukauskas could just randomly be, fraud checked or something like that. He is that kind of that... I haven't seen, he's not been that good to say, oh, yeah, he'll fucking dominate this guy for sure. TBA Gautier is obviously a lock. I think Umar Nurmagomedov is going to... I feel very confident saying that Umar will win this fight, so I'm going to put him in as a lock. I'm gonna unfortunately say John Silva is a lock. Both Silvas are, actually. I think both Silvas will confidently win their fight. I'm confident in that. I'm not confident in Cortes-Acosta. Obviously, this is still just an insane toss-up. Lewis could easily just fluke a win here. But I am confident in Sean O'Malley being able to win this fight. That one I'm very confident in, too. I'm very excited for that. And I'm not touching this one either. So, O'Malley, Silva, Umar, Gautier, Charles Johnson. That's my parlay picks for you guys. And those are my predictions for this card. Let me know what your predictions are in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all that you gotta do. Whatever makes you comfortable, whatever makes you happy. I'll just know that I'm happy to be back making this videos, predicting UFC cards. It's exciting time, bro. 2026, new year. It's gonna be a better year for UFC than last year was, I think. Well, this will be it, dude. Even though I don't have Paramount, it's not on Paramount Plus where I live. I'm still excited to legally watch this show. So yeah, that is gonna do it for me. That's all I got. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.